I didn't even notice when the room went quiet. Not at first. Only my hands did, tight around the empty tray like it could hold me together. Careful, someone said behind me, laughing softly. Don't drop that on the marble floor. I didn't answer. I couldn't afford to. Because in places like this, poor girls like me don't speak unless spoken to. They survive. That night I was just surviving. The ballroom glittered like it belonged to another world. Chandeliers too bright. Glass too clean. Laughter too expensive. I moved between tables in my simple black uniform, pretending I didn't notice how people looked through me instead of at me. Then I saw him. The millionaire. He wasn't loud. He didn't need to be. He just existed in a way that made the room bend slightly around him, like everything was arranged so he never had to adjust. His glass stayed untouched. His gaze wasn't. It landed on me. And stayed. I told myself it meant nothing. It always meant nothing. Until it didn't. Hey. I stopped. Not because I wanted to. Because his voice didn't sound like a request. It sounded like a decision already made. I turned slowly. He was leaning back in his chair like the entire room was something he owned and was bored of. You, he said, pointing at me like I was part of a game. My throat tightened. Yes, sir? A small smile appeared on his face. Not kind. Not warm. Curious. Like I was a mistake he wanted to test. What's your name? I hesitated. Names don't matter for people like me here. But I answered anyway. Aisha. A few people nearby chuckled like even my name was out of place. He nodded slowly like he was tasting it. Aisha, he repeated, then leaned forward slightly. Do you dance? The question caught me off guard. No, sir. That made him smile wider. That was my first mistake. He stood up. The room shifted immediately. People noticed him the way storms are noticed before they hit. He walked closer. Each step slower than it needed to be. Like he wanted me to feel every second stretch. I think you do, he said softly. I shook my head quickly. I don't. I'm just working here. Everyone's just something, he replied. Then he looked at the musicians in the corner. And that's when everything changed. Play Tango. The music didn't even hesitate. Like it was waiting for him. My stomach dropped. I took a small step back. Sir, I really need to. He interrupted me without even looking. No, he said calmly. You don't. Then he turned back to me. And smiled. That smile didn't belong in kindness. It belonged in control. If you dance this tango perfectly, he said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, I'll marry you. Silence hit the room so hard I felt it in my chest. Then came laughter. Not loud at first. Then everywhere. Sure. Ugly. Alive. I stood frozen. Marry me? It didn't sound real. It sounded like a joke people tell when they don't think you're human enough to believe it. My face burned instantly. Someone whispered, he's insane. Someone else laughed harder. She can't even walk properly in those shoes. My fingers started shaking. I looked at him. Waiting for him to say he didn't mean it. Waiting for the correction. The mercy. Anything. But he just watched me. Come. Interested. Like he was waiting to see what kind of failure I would choose. That was worse than laughter. You're joking, I said quietly. He tilted his head. Am I? The room leaned in. Even the air felt heavier. I wanted to run. My body screamed at me to disappear. But I couldn't move. Because something inside me cracked in that exact moment. Not loudly. Quietly. Like glass deciding it had been whole for too long. I wasn't angry yet. I wasn't strong yet. I was just tired. Tired of being the girl who says nothing. Tired of being invisible. Tired of being laughed at without ever being asked who I am. The music started. Slow. Sure. Tango. I didn't know how to dance it. I really didn't. But my feet stepped forward anyway. One step. Then another. The laughter didn't stop. It followed me like shadows. Is she serious? She's actually going to try? This is embarrassing. I heard everything. Every word. But something strange happened. The more they laughed, the quieter I became inside. Like the noise was pushing me somewhere else. Somewhere sharper. Somewhere I didn't recognize myself anymore. I stopped in the center of the floor. Now everyone was watching. Now there was no tray to hide behind. No table to escape to. Just me. And him. He didn't look amused anymore. Just focused. Like he was studying a result he wasn't sure about yet. My heartbeat was so loud I thought everyone could hear it. I lifted my hands slightly. And then I moved. It wasn't good. Not at first. My steps were stiff. Wrong. Untrained. Someone laughed again. But I didn't stop. because something had already changed inside me. Every mistake felt like pressure. Every laugh felt like fuel. I wasn't dancing for him anymore. I wasn't even dancing for them. I was dancing because I was tired of being nothing in rooms like this. My body started catching rhythm slowly. Not perfect, but real. My breathing changed. My fear didn't disappear. It just stepped aside. I didn't notice when the laughter faded. I only noticed silence. Heavy silence. I turned slightly during a spin and saw something I didn't expect. He wasn't smiling anymore. He wasn't laughing. He was watching me like I had become something he didn't calculate correctly. That should have made me stop. It didn't. Instead, I moved closer into the music. Harder. Faster. Like I was trying to outrun every version of myself that had ever been weak. My final step landed. The music ended. No applause. No sound. Just stillness. My chest rose and felt like I had been holding my breath for years. I looked at him. For the first time, I didn't lower my eyes. He didn't speak. Neither did I. But something passed between us in that silence. Something I didn't have a name for yet. Not victory. Not revenge. Something more dangerous. Change. He finally moved his mouth slightly, like he wanted to say something. But I didn't wait. Because I knew, if I stayed there any longer, I might become the version of myself he expected again. So I stepped back. One step. Then another. Away from the center. Away from the silence. Away from him. And that's when I heard it. Not from the crowd. From him. Very quietly. Like it wasn't meant for anyone else. Interesting. I froze for half a second. Just one. Because something in his tone didn't match the joke anymore. It matched curiosity. And that scared me more than laughter ever did. I turned away before he could say anything else. But as I walked back into the crowd, I felt it. Not their eyes anymore. Still on me. Like the story wasn't over. Like this was only the beginning of something I didn't agree to. And right before I disappeared behind the tables, I heard him speak again. Soft. Controlled. But clear enough to cut through everything. Don't leave yet. I stopped. My fingers tightened around the tray again. Not because I wanted to stay, but because for the first time tonight, I wasn't sure if leaving would actually save me. I didn't cry when I reached home. That scared me more than the tears I already had. Because the silence inside my chest felt heavier than anything I'd felt before. And his voice, it kept coming back. Not loudly. Worse. Clearly. I closed the door behind me and leaned against it for a second. My hands were still shaking. Not from running. From remembering. That ballroom. That music. That moment when everyone laughed like I didn't exist. And him. Standing there like it was all just a game. I walked to the small mirror near my bed. My reflection didn't feel like mine. My eyes looked delayed. Like they were trying to catch up to something I hadn't accepted yet. I touched the glass lightly. It didn't respond. Of course it didn't. People like me don't get answers from mirrors. My phone buzzed. What? Then again. I didn't pick it up immediately. I already knew who it was. My coworker. Nadia. I finally answered. Her voice came fast. Aisha, are you okay? I saw everything. I'm fine, I said too quickly. Pause. That kind of pause that already knows the truth. You're not fine. I didn't answer. Because if I did, I might break into something I couldn't control. I told you to leave early, she said softly. I sat on the edge of my bed. My uniform still smelled like that place. Expensive perfume. Polished wood. Laughter I didn't belong in. I didn't think it would turn into that, she added. My grip tightened on the phone. Don't, I said. Don't what? Explain it. Silence. Not empty. Heavy. Like even she knew there was nothing she could fix. After the call ended, the room got louder. Not outside. Inside me. Every memory started replaying on its own. His smile. The words. If you dance this tango perfectly, I'll marry you. And then the laughter. Not one voice. A whole room. Enjoying it. Like I was entertainment. I stood up suddenly. My chair scraped the floor. Too loud. I froze like someone might hear me through the walls. That's when I realized something strange. I was still acting like I was there. Like I was still being watched. I went to the sink and turned on the tap. Water ran. But my hands didn't feel clean. I kept scrubbing anyway. Harder. Like I could erase a feeling. But it stayed. Some things don't wash off. They stay under the skin. My phone lit up again. Unknown number. I stared at it. Didn't answer. It rang twice. Then stopped. A message came instead. No name. Just a line. You surprised me. My breath caught slightly. That was all it said. No explanation. No context. But I knew. I didn't want to know. But I knew. I deleted it immediately. Then froze. My fingers stayed on the screen like I hadn't decided what kind of person I was becoming. A few seconds passed. Then I reopened deleted messages. Empty. Good. But not comforting. I lay down without changing clothes. The ceiling stared back at me. And I couldn't stop hearing the music again. Tango. Sure. Controlled. Like everything about that moment was designed to make me small. My chest tightened. Not pain. Something worse. Awareness. A knock came from the hallway. Soft. Nadia again. I brought food, she said from outside. I didn't move. I'm not hungry, I answered. You haven't eaten since morning? I said I'm fine. Another pause. Then quieter. You're not okay alone. That line hit differently. Because it wasn't wrong. But I still didn't open the door. When she left, the silence changed shape. It wasn't comforting anymore. It was pressuring me. Like it wanted me to think. And I did. Against my will. About everything I ignored before. Every time I stayed quiet when I should have spoken. Every time I smiled instead of leaving. Every time I let people decide what I was worth. My phone lit up again. Same unknown number. This time I answered before I could stop myself. Silence first. Then his voice. Oh. Controlled. You didn't leave. My throat went dry instantly. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect him to call. I didn't expect him to care enough to notice. I hated that I noticed. I didn't owe you anything, I said quickly. A small breath on the other side. Not a laugh. Something more careful. I didn't say you did. That confused me more than anger would have. I sat up slowly. What do you want? I asked. Pause. Long enough to feel intentional. Then. I don't know yet. That should have ended it. It didn't. Because something in his voice wasn't playful anymore. It was off balance. Like he didn't expect me to actually dance. Like he didn't expect me to still be in his head after I left. That thought shouldn't have mattered. But it did. Too much. You humiliated me, I said before I could stop myself. Silence again. Different this time. He didn't deny it immediately. That delay felt like honesty he didn't plan to give. I didn't mean it like that, he finally said. My laugh came out sharp. It sounded exactly like that. No answer. Just breathing. Human breathing. Not perfect. Not rehearsed. That unsettled me. I should have stopped it, he said suddenly. That caught me off guard. I didn't respond. Because I didn't know what to do with that kind of sentence. Not apology. Not excuse. Something stuck in between. I didn't, he added. Short. Honest. Worse. My fingers tightened around the phone. Why are you calling me? Another pause. Then softer. Because you didn't break the way I expected you to. That line stayed still in the air. Like it didn't belong in a joke anymore. Or a game. Or anything safe. I stood up without realizing it. Walked to the window. Outside the street was normal. People living normal lives. Like nothing had cracked open inside me tonight. I'm not your experiment, I said quietly. I know, he replied immediately. Too fast. Like he had already accepted that truth. That should have ended the call. But it didn't. Because now there was something else between us. Something neither of us was naming. And I hated that I could feel it forming. Slow. Uninvited. Real. I don't want to talk to you again, I said. Pause. Longer this time. Then. You will. Not arrogant. Not playful. Just certain. And that certainty made my stomach tighten. I stopped answering messages the same night I realized silence can be louder than words. Not because I was strong. Because I didn't trust myself to speak without breaking. 2 days passed. Then 3. Life around me kept moving like nothing happened. But inside me something stayed stuck at that ballroom floor. His voice didn't fade. It changed shape. From sound, to memory, to pressure. At work, I noticed things I never noticed before. How customers never looked at me when they spoke. How managers only noticed mistakes, never effort. How people decided your value before you even opened your mouth. It wasn't new. I just couldn't ignore it anymore. Aisha, table 4 needs water. Okay. That's all I said. No smile. No extra words. Nadia watched me once, confused. You're different, she said softly. I didn't answer. Because I didn't know how to explain that I wasn't becoming different. I was becoming aware. That night I searched something I never searched before. Tango lessons near me. My fingers paused before I pressed enter. It felt ridiculous. like a joke I was telling myself. I didn't even know why I did it. But I did. And the results appeared anyway. A small studio. Low reviews. Cheap fees. Almost empty. Perfect. Because I couldn't afford anything else. Not money. Not pride. Not failure in front of people I knew. I didn't tell anyone. Not Nadia. Not my family. No one. Because the moment you speak about change, people start measuring it. And I wasn't ready to be measured yet. The first day I almost didn't go. I stood outside the building for 7 minutes. Just watching the door. In my reflection on the glass, I didn't look brave. I looked lost. Then I walked in anyway. Not because I was ready. Because I was tired of staying the same. The instructor barely looked at me. Beginner? He asked. I nodded. He didn't smile. Good. I didn't need kindness. I needed direction. Stand straight. My feet felt wrong immediately. Too stiff. I tried again. Relax your shoulders. I laughed once under my breath. It didn't sound like me. It sounded like someone pretending to exist. My first steps were chaos. I kept missing rhythm. Turning too early. Slowing too late. Every mistake felt like exposure. Like the room was laughing without sound. And then, I saw him. In my mind. Not physically. Just there. That same expression. Like I was entertainment. Stop thinking, the instructor said sharply. I blinked. Thinking is your enemy here. I didn't reply. But something in me tightened. Because I wasn't thinking. I was remembering. After class my legs hurt. Not tired hurt. Broken hurt. I sat on the floor of the empty studio while everyone left. No one stayed. No one asked if I was okay. That suited me. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. I stared at it for a long time. Then opened the message. You're avoiding me. My throat tightened slightly. I didn't reply. Instead I locked the screen. Like ignoring it could erase it. It didn't. The next day I went again. And again after that. Same studio. Same silence. Different pain. But something started shifting slowly. My steps weren't perfect. But they were mine now. One evening the instructor stopped mid-session. You've been coming every day, he said. I wiped sweat from my face. Yes. Why? I paused. That question hit deeper than I expected. Because I didn't have a clean answer. So I gave him the only truth I had. I don't want to be laughed at again. He looked at me for a second longer than needed. Then nodded once. Then don't dance like you're asking for permission. That line stayed with me. Long after I left. Permission. I kept repeating it in my head. Like it meant something I hadn't unlocked yet. That night I stood in front of my mirror again. But this time I didn't look away immediately. I watched myself properly. Shoulders slightly stronger. Eyes less lost. Still not confident. But no longer empty. My phone lit up again. This time I answered faster than I meant to. Silence first. Then his voice. You're training. Not a question. A statement. I froze. How do you know that? I asked slowly. Pause. Longer than before. I saw you. My stomach dropped slightly. That's impossible. No, he said quietly. It's not. I walked to the window without thinking. Outside looked normal. Too normal. You're following me? I asked. No. Another pause. Then softer. I was already there. That didn't make sense. But it didn't feel like a lie either. That was the problem. Why? I asked. A breath on the other side. Not confident. Not controlled. For the first time, unsure. I don't know. That answer shouldn't have mattered. But it did. Because it didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded real. I closed my eyes for a second. Stop calling me, I said. Pause. Then. I can't. Simple. Honest. Wrong in ways I couldn't explain. My grip tightened on the phone. You think this is a game? No, he said immediately. That came too fast. Too serious. Then quieter. I thought it was. At first. Silence stretched. Heavy. Different from before. What changed? I asked. A long pause. Long enough that I thought he would end the call. But he didn't. Instead. You didn't react like I expected. That line again. Like I was a problem he couldn't solve. I should have hung up. I didn't. Because something in me wanted to understand. And that scared me more than anger ever did. You embarrassed me, I said quietly. I know. No defense. No excuse. Just acceptance. That made my chest tighten slightly. Not pain. Confusion. I didn't mean it like that, he added after a pause. My laugh came out sharp again. You still said it. I know. Another silence. Different now. Not empty. Loaded. Like something unsaid was standing between every word. Then he said something I didn't expect. I didn't think you'd step onto that floor. My fingers stopped moving. What? I whispered. I thought you'd leave, he continued. Everyone does. Pause. But you didn't. Something shifted inside me. Not emotion. Recognition. Like he wasn't just remembering that night. He was still stuck in it too. I should have stopped it, he said suddenly. Voice lower now. Less controlled. More human. I didn't. That was the first time he sounded like he lost something too. I didn't know what to say. So I didn't say anything. And for the first time, he didn't fill the silence either. He was always there. Not close. Not gone. Just there. Like a shadow that refused to explain itself. And I hated that I noticed him before I admitted I was afraid of him. I felt it first on a Tuesday. The studio was almost empty. My shoes echoed too loudly against the wooden floor. I was mid-step when I stopped. Because I wasn't alone. A man stood near the far mirror. Not moving. Not speaking. Just watching. My stomach tightened instantly. I slowed down. Then froze completely. He didn't react. That made it worse. I grabbed my water bottle like it could protect me. Can I help you? I asked. My voice didn't sound steady. He didn't answer immediately. Just tilted his head slightly. Like he was studying a mistake. Then, no. One word. Flat. Controlled. That should have ended it. But he didn't leave. He stayed. And I stayed too. Because leaving first felt like losing something I didn't understand yet. I resumed practice. Not because I wanted to. Because I refused to look weak in front of him. My steps were sharper than before. Too sharp. Wrong rhythm. I felt it immediately. And so did he. You're forcing it, he said suddenly. I stopped mid-turn. Looked at him directly now. You've been watching me? He nodded once. No shame. No explanation. Just fact. That annoyed me more than it should have. I didn't ask for feedback, I said. He finally walked closer. Not fast. Not slow. Controlled. Everything about him felt measured. You didn't ask for the mirror either, he replied. That hit differently. Not insulting. Not kind. Just accurate. I turned away. Started again. Harder this time. But worse. My balance slipped. I caught myself quickly. Too quickly. And I heard it. A small sound from him. Not laughter. Something close to it. But not cruel. That confused me. Again, he said. I glared. Who are you two? You're dragging your left step, he interrupted. Silence hit. Not dramatic. Just clean. Like he didn't care about my anger at all. Only the movement. I tried again. This time slower. More careful. Still wrong. He didn't mock me. Didn't smile. Just watched. That was somehow more uncomfortable. After a few minutes he finally spoke again. Stop thinking about where you're supposed to go. I frowned. What does that even mean? You're predicting failure before it happens. That sentence stayed with me. Longer than I expected. I exhaled sharply. You talk like you know me. I don't, he said immediately. Then added, but I know that look. I didn't like that answer. Because it felt like he'd seen something I was hiding from myself. I resumed again. This time I tried not to think. Just move. One step. Then another. Something shifted slightly. Not perfect, but less broken. I didn't notice when he stopped correcting me. Only when silence stretched too long. I turned. He was still watching. But differently now. Less like a judge. More like evaluation. You're not from around here, I said finally. He didn't deny it. That obvious? Yes. Pause. Then. You're getting better, he added. I didn't know how to respond to that. So I didn't. My phone buzzed in my bag. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then stopped. I already knew who it was. I didn't check. Not yet. He noticed. Of course he did. Important? He asked. No. What? But I said it anyway. He didn't call it out. That surprised me. Instead, he turned slightly toward the mirror. You're here for anger? He said quietly. I froze. That wasn't a question. It was recognition. I didn't answer. Because he was right. And I hated that he was right. You think that's enough? He added. My grip tightened on my water bottle. I think it's all I have. He looked at me for a long moment. Then, no, he said simply. That word again. Not harsh. Not soft. Just certain. Something inside me shifted. Uncomfortable. Because certainty from strangers feels like control. And I didn't trust control anymore. Not after him. I stepped back slightly. Why are you here? I asked again. This time slower. He didn't answer immediately. That pause felt intentional. Then, because you're going to quit soon. I frowned. What? You're close, he said. To what? To breaking properly. That sentence made my chest tighten. Not pain. Warning. I'm not fragile, I said quickly. He nodded slightly. I didn't say you were. Then added, fragile things don't come back. That line stayed in the air too long. I didn't like how calm he was. Like he already knew my ending. Like I was a pattern he had seen before. I stepped forward. Stop talking like you understand me. He didn't move back. Didn't react. Just met my eyes. And said, I don't. Pause. Then softer. But I understand pressure. That silence between us changed again. Less defensive. More uncertain. I hated that I didn't know what he was. Instructor. Observer. Threat. Or something worse. Who sent you? I asked suddenly. He blinked once. That was the first real reaction. No one. I narrowed my eyes. That's not an answer. It is, he said. Simple. Clean. Final. A phone buzz broke the moment. Mine. I pulled it out before I could stop myself. Unknown number again. One message. He's watching you too. My stomach dropped slightly. I looked up instantly. He was still there. Still calm. Still watching me. But now it felt different. Not random anymore. Connected. You should leave, I said suddenly. He tilted his head slightly. Why? Because I don't trust this. Pause. Then. You shouldn't, he agreed. That wasn't what I expected. He stepped back finally. Slowly. Like he had finished something. Before turning, he added quietly, You're not ready yet. For what? I asked quickly. He didn't answer. Just looked at me one last time. And said, Not for him. Then he left. I stood there long after the door closed. My reflection in the mirror didn't look like it belonged to someone being watched. It looked like someone who had just been entered into something without permission. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. New message. You met him. My fingers went cold. Because I didn't know which him was more dangerous anymore. And that thought changed everything. He didn't correct me this time. He just said, Don't stop mid-breath. And something inside me finally listened. I almost didn't notice it at first. The way my feet moved differently today. Less hesitation. Less fear. Like my body stopped asking permission from my mind. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was fighting the rhythm. I was inside it. Again, the instructor said. I didn't complain this time. I just moved. One step. Then another. Clean. Not perfect, but stable. That was new. My phone buzzed in my bag. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then stopped. I didn't care anymore. Not right now. Because something in my body was finally starting to make sense. You're late, the stranger's voice came from behind me. I didn't turn immediately. I didn't call you, I said. Pause. Then. You didn't have to. That annoyed me. Because he said it like it was normal. Like he was part of my routine now. I turned slowly. He was near the mirror again. Same place. Same silence. But his eyes were different today. Less distant. More focused. On me. I'm not your student, I said. He nodded slightly. I know. That confused me more than if he had argued. I resumed practice. This time I didn't feel him watching like pressure. It felt precise. Like he wasn't judging me. He was calculating me. That should have made me uncomfortable. It did. But not enough to stop. My foot slipped slightly. I expected a comment. Nothing came. Only silence. That silence felt heavier than criticism. Because it meant he was waiting. Not reacting. Stop holding your shoulders like you're afraid, he said finally. I frowned. I'm not afraid. He didn't argue. Just stepped closer. Not too close. But close enough that I noticed the difference in space. Then stop defending yourself in every movement, he added. I froze slightly. That line hit somewhere I didn't expect. Not emotional. Structural. Like he was pointing out something I didn't know I was doing. I'm just dancing, I said. No, he replied. Short. Final. You're surviving. That made me stop completely. For a second I didn't move. Because he didn't say it like an insult. He said it like a fact. Like he recognized it from somewhere. That made my chest tighten slightly. Not pain. Awareness. You don't know me, I said quietly. He nodded once. I don't. Then added, but I recognize patterns. That word stayed in the air. Patterns. Like I was not a person. A system. A repeat of something he had seen before. I started again. But slower this time. Testing myself. My body responded differently now. Less resistance. More control. It wasn't beautiful yet. But it was becoming mine. I didn't notice when he moved closer to the floor markings. Until he said, stop there. I paused. Why? He didn't answer immediately. Just looked at my stance. Then stepped forward. He adjusted my shoulders slightly. Just one correction. Light. Controlled. Not invasive. But the moment he touched me, everything aligned. My balance shifted instantly. Like something inside me clicked into place. I blinked. What did you do? Nothing new, he said. Then added quietly. You stopped resisting your weight. That sentence didn't sound important. But it was. Because I felt it. I was no longer fighting myself. I tried the step again. This time it worked. Not fully. But enough that I noticed the difference. My breath changed. My rhythm stabilized. My movement flowed. For the first time. I looked at him. He didn't look impressed. That surprised me. He looked expected. Like he already knew this would happen. Like he was waiting for me to catch up. Why are you helping me? I asked. Pause. Longer than before. Then. I'm not. That answer irritated me instantly. Then what is this? He glanced toward the mirror. Correction. Simple word. Heavy meaning. My phone buzzed again. This time I checked it. A message. From work. Where are you? We're short-staffed. I stared at it for a second. Then locked the screen. I didn't reply. Not today. The stranger noticed. You're going to lose your job, he said. I shrugged slightly. Maybe. You don't care? I hesitated. That was the wrong question. Because I did care. Just not in the same way anymore. I can't stay the same, I said quietly. He looked at me for a long moment. Then. Good. That one word felt heavier than everything else he had said. The studio felt different after that. Not quieter. Not louder. Just changed. Like something invisible had shifted between us. I practiced longer than usual. My legs burned. My breathing broke twice. But I didn't stop. Because stopping felt like going back. And I couldn't go back anymore. When I finally sat down, he didn't leave. He stayed by the mirror. Watching. Still silent. But not distant. Not anymore. You're improving faster than expected, he said. I wiped sweat from my forehead. Expected by who? He didn't answer immediately. That pause was too intentional. Then. By him. My stomach tightened slightly. I looked at him sharply. Stop saying things like that. He met my eyes. Come. Direct. I didn't say his name. That was worse. Because I already knew who him meant. The millionaire. The ballroom. That smile. That line. If you dance this tango perfectly, I'll marry you. It didn't feel far away. It felt like it was watching me too. I stood up slowly. Why does he matter to you? I asked. Pause. Then the stranger said something I didn't expect. Because you're not the only one he misread. That sentence changed the air. Instantly. I frowned. What does that mean? He looked away for the first time. Just slightly. Like he almost said something else. But didn't. You'll understand soon, he said instead. That wasn't an answer. It was a delay. And I hated delays more than rejection. I grabbed my bag. I'm done for today. He didn't stop me. Didn't argue. Just said, don't stop. 2 words. Not command. Not advice. Something in between. I paused at the door. Didn't turn. What are you? I asked quietly. A long silence followed. Then. Someone who knows what happens when people underestimate the wrong moment. That didn't explain anything. But it warned everything. I stepped outside. Cold air hit my face. But my body felt warm. Not tired. Not broken. Different. Like something inside me had finally started building instead of surviving. My phone lit up one last time. Unknown number. New message. Only one line. You're getting closer to the version I saw at the beginning. I stared at it. Then looked back at the studio door. And for the first time, I heard his name before I ever saw him again. And it didn't come from him. That was the strange part. Do you know what's happening in his circle? Nadia asked it like it was gossip. But her eyes didn't look excited. They looked careful. I didn't answer immediately. I kept wiping the same glass at work like it mattered. It's nothing, I said, but my hand slowed, because I already knew it wasn't nothing. She leaned closer. He's under pressure, she said quietly. Investors pulling back. People are talking. I placed the glass down too carefully. Talking about what? Nadia hesitated. That pause said more than her words. Then, about that night. My chest tightened slightly. Not pain. Recognition. I turned away before she could read my face. People always talk, I said. But my voice didn't land the way I wanted it to. Flat. Uncertain. That night I didn't go straight home. I walked longer than usual. Past streets I didn't notice before. Like I was trying to outrun something I couldn't name yet. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. I didn't open it immediately. I already knew what it would feel like. Pressure disguised as attention. When I finally checked it, there was no message. Just a missed call. And that silence felt intentional. Like someone was watching without speaking. The next day everything shifted. Not loudly. Quietly. Like the world had decided to rearrange itself without asking me. You're being watched, the stranger said. I stopped tying my shoes. Looked up. By who? He didn't answer immediately. That was becoming his habit. Then, not him, he said. That confused me. Then who? He stepped aside slightly. People who noticed you exist now. I should have felt proud. Instead, my stomach tightened. Because being noticed never felt safe in my life. Only dangerous. That evening he didn't make me practice. Instead he took me somewhere else. A different building. No signs. No music outside. Just a door that looked like it didn't want to be found. Don't talk much, he said. I frowned. Where are we? He opened the door. Somewhere you won't be laughed at. That sentence stayed with me longer than I expected. Inside there were people. Not many. But enough. They didn't look at me like I was invisible. They looked at me like I had to prove something. That was worse. But also better. No one spoke for a while. Then someone nodded at me. Not welcoming. Not rejecting. Just acknowledging. That alone felt unfamiliar. I started dancing. Not perfectly. Not carefully. But honestly. And for the first time. No one laughed. I noticed it in small things. A glance. A correction from across the room. A nod I didn't earn yet. But I kept going. Because stopping felt like returning to who I was before. During a break I sat on the floor. Breathing harder than I expected. My legs shook slightly. Not from weakness. From effort. You're improving faster than expected, the stranger said. I wiped sweat from my forehead. You keep saying that. He nodded once. Then. That's because someone else is also watching your progress. I looked up instantly. Who? He didn't answer right away. That silence again. Then. You already know. My throat tightened slightly. No, I said quickly. But my voice didn't sound convinced. Because I did know. I just didn't want it to be true. Later that night I stood alone outside the building. Cold air. Quiet streets. And a feeling I couldn't shake. Like something was moving closer. Slowly. Patiently. My phone buzzed again. This time I answered immediately. Silence first. Then his voice. Not playful. Not arrogant. Tired. You're training. Not a question. A fact. I didn't respond right away. Because hearing his voice like that felt wrong. Different. Less controlled. More real. How do you know that? I asked finally. Pause. Long enough to feel like he was deciding how honest to be. I hear things, he said. That's not an answer. Another pause. Then quieter. It's complicated. I leaned against the wall. Everything about you is complicated, I said. A small breath on the other side. Not laughter. Something heavier. I didn't plan any of this, he said. That line hit differently. Because it sounded like truth. Not strategy. Not ego. Then why did you say it? I asked. Silence again. Then. That night. Yes. A longer pause. Then finally. Because I wanted to see if you would break. My fingers tightened around the phone. And did I? I asked quietly. He didn't answer immediately. That hesitation felt dangerous. Then. No. Something shifted inside me. Not relief. Not anger. Something between them. Uncomfortable clarity. I should have stopped it, he added suddenly. His voice dropped. Lower than before. I didn't think you'd step onto that floor. I closed my eyes briefly. You were wrong, I said. Pause. Then. I know. That was the first time he didn't defend himself. The call went quiet. Neither of us hung up immediately. That silence felt heavier than anything before. Because now there was something unsolved between us. Not hatred. Not forgiveness. Something unfinished. When the call ended, I didn't move for a while. Just stood there, letting the cold settle into my skin. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the same girl who served tables and stayed invisible. The stranger's words came back to me. People who noticed you exist now. And I finally understood what he meant. Not attention. Not fame. Pressure. My phone lit up again. Unknown number. One line. You're closer than you think. I stared at it for a long time. Then looked up at the empty street. And realized something I wasn't ready to say out loud yet. I wasn't just changing anymore. I was being pulled back toward him. I didn't open the envelope right away. Because I already knew what it would do to me. Even before I saw the name inside. It came with no warning. Just a plain white envelope placed on my bed like it belonged there. No sender. No explanation. Only heavy silence. My fingers hesitated before breaking it open. The paper inside felt too expensive to touch. And then I saw it. An invitation. To the same elite gala. My breath stopped for half a second. Because I knew exactly where it was. And exactly who would be there. My phone slipped slightly in my hand. I didn't notice at first. Until it buzzed. What? Then again. Unknown number. No message. Just presence. Like whoever sent it was waiting for me to react. I sat down slowly. The room suddenly felt smaller. Not because it changed. Because I did. My chest tightened, not panic. Recognition. The past wasn't behind me. It was calling me back. You saw it. The voice came through the phone before I could decide to answer. Calm. Too calm. I didn't respond immediately. Because hearing him again felt like stepping back into a place I had just escaped. Yes, I said finally. Pause. Then. You're going? That question wasn't casual. It was calculated. Like he already knew the answer and just wanted to hear it from me. I looked at the invitation again. Gold embossing. Perfect print. A room full of people who once laughed at me without thinking twice. And him. Always him. I don't know, I said. That wasn't true. And he knew it. Because his silence changed. Slightly sharper now. You should stay away, he said. I frowned. That's new. Another pause. Then. I'm not joking. Something in his tone shifted. Not control. Not arrogance. Something else. Pressure. Like he was carrying something he didn't want to explain. Why do you care? I asked quietly. A long silence followed. Too long. Then. Because it's not safe for you there anymore. That line hit differently. Not emotional. Not romantic. Warning. I stood up without realizing it. Safe. I repeated. You think I was safe before? No answer. That silence said more than words. My reflection caught my eye in the mirror. I looked different now. Not stronger in a visible way. But steadier. Like something inside me had stopped collapsing under memory. You're not the same girl, he said suddenly. I froze slightly. That wasn't a compliment. It wasn't judgment either. It was observation. And it scared me more than anything else. I know, I said quietly. Pause. Then. That's why I'm telling you not to go. His voice lowered slightly. Less controlled now. Almost strained. I walked closer to the window. Streetlights outside flickered softly. Normal world. Unaware of the one unfolding inside me. If I don't go, I said slowly, then I stay exactly what they think I am. Silence. No immediate reply. For the first time he didn't have one ready. You don't owe them anything, he said finally. I laughed once. But it didn't feel like humor. It's not about owing, I said. It's about finishing something. That word lingered. Finishing. He didn't respond. But I could hear it in his breathing. He didn't like that answer. Not because it was wrong. Because it was true. A soft knock came from my door. Nadia's voice outside. You're coming to work tomorrow? I covered the phone slightly. Yes, I answered. Too quickly. Too automatically. Like I was still pretending I belonged only in one world. When I turned back, the line was still open. You still there? I asked. Yes, he said immediately. Not leaving. Not disconnecting. Just waiting. I'm going, I said. Simple. Final. A decision I didn't fully understand yet, but had already made. Silence followed. He didn't argue. That was worse. You don't have to prove anything, he said quietly. My grip tightened on the phone. I already did, I replied. Pause. Then. No, he said. Short. Heavy. You didn't. That confused me. Because he didn't sound like he was protecting me. He sounded like he was worried I was walking into something I couldn't see yet. Something he didn't fully control either. I'll be there, I said before I could overthink it. Another silence. Longer this time. Then, I know. That was all he said. But it didn't feel like agreement. It felt like resignation. The call ended. But the wait didn't. I stood there for a long time holding the invitation again. Gold letters. Cold paper. A door I had already stepped through once in humiliation. This time felt different. Not because I was less afraid, but because fear didn't feel like the final decision anymore. I placed the invitation on the bed, looked at my reflection again, and for the first time, I didn't see the waitress they laughed at. I saw someone walking back into the fire willingly. My phone lit up one last time. Unknown number. No name. Just one line. Then don't come as who you were. I stared at it, and slowly understood. This wasn't an invitation anymore. It was a return. The moment I stepped inside, I forgot how to breathe normally. Not because I was afraid, because I remembered everything at once. The ballroom didn't change. That was the worst part. Same chandeliers. Same polished floor. Same kind of people pretending they don't recognize pain unless it's expensive. And then, silence. Not complete, but enough. Enough for me to feel every eye shift toward me. I didn't stop walking. Not even when my heels echoed too loudly. Not even when I heard a small laugh from somewhere behind the crowd. I didn't react, because reacting was the old me. And she didn't survive that night. My phone buzzed inside my small clutch. I didn't check it. I already knew it wasn't important anymore. Nothing outside this room was. Not tonight. And then I saw him. He didn't move at first. Just looked. Like he was trying to confirm I was real. Not memory. Not imagination. Me. His expression changed. Small. Almost invisible. But I caught it. Confusion. Then recognition. Then something he quickly tried to hide. Too late. We didn't greet each other. No words. No nod. Nothing polite. Just distance filled with everything we never said after that night. I walked past him. Slow. Deliberate. And I felt it. His eyes stayed on me longer than anyone else's. Not amused. Not mocking. Careful. That was new. Aisha. Someone whispered my name nearby. I didn't turn. Because if I turned now, I would still be that girl who reacts to every sound. And I wasn't her tonight. The music started. Same orchestra. Same rhythm. But it didn't feel like memory this time. It felt like invitation. And I accepted it without asking permission. I stepped onto the dance floor. No hesitation. No scanning the room. Just movement. One breath. Then another. And I began. At first I felt them watching. Waiting. For mistakes. For hesitation. For the version of me they remembered. But I didn't give it to them. Not anymore. My body moved differently now. Not perfect. But intentional. Every step carried something behind it. Not technique. History. I saw it happen slowly. The laughter didn't come. The whispers faded. Even the careless glances started to change. Confusion first. Then attention. Then silence. I turned once. And I saw him again. Still watching. But not like before. He wasn't controlling the moment anymore. He was inside it. Unable to step out. I didn't look away. But I didn't go toward him either. Because this wasn't about him now. Not fully. Step. A turn. Pause. I could feel my past in every movement. The humiliation. The glassy laughter. The moment I was told I was a joke. And I let it all move through me. Not break me. Shape me. Someone in the crowd shifted uncomfortably. I heard it. A chair moving. A whisper stopping mid-sentence. The room was adjusting to something it didn't expect. Me. And for the first time, I felt it. Not fear. Control. Not over them. Over myself. I didn't realize when the music softened. Only that my breathing stayed steady. My body didn't fight anymore. It followed. I caught a glimpse of him again. He looked different now. Not confident. Not entertained. Quietly unsettled. Like something he thought was fixed had started changing shape. Our eyes met briefly. He didn't smile. I didn't look away. And that was enough. No words needed. I moved again. Final sequence. Not fast. Not dramatic. Cling. And when it ended, there was no immediate sound. Just stillness. Heavy stillness. Then it came. Not applause at first. But realization. A shift in the room that couldn't be reversed. People weren't laughing anymore. They were watching. Properly. For the first time. I stepped back from the center slowly. My chest rose and fell normally, strangely calm. Like something I had been carrying for years had finally been placed down. Not gone, but no longer crushing. I turned slightly and saw him again, still standing where he was, but now, less certain. Like he didn't know what version of me he was supposed to deal with anymore. He took one step forward, then stopped, like something inside him argued with itself. I noticed that, more than anything else, I didn't go to him. I didn't need to. Not tonight. Instead, I walked off the dance floor, slow, measured, and I felt it happening behind me. The room was no longer the same room I entered. Something had shifted, and they all knew it. As I reached the edge of the hall, my phone buzzed again. I finally looked. Unknown number. One line. You weren't supposed to survive that. I stared at it, then slowly lifted my eyes toward him. And for the first time, I wondered if he was the one who underestimated me, or the one who was afraid I understood too much now. I saw it happen before anyone else did. Not in the room. In him. It started with his smile. Still there. But unstable. Like it didn't belong to him anymore. I moved again on the dance floor. Not to impress. Not to prove. Just to finish what I had already started inside myself. And with every step, his expression changed. First amusement. Then confusion. Then stillness. That was the moment I noticed it fully. He wasn't watching a performance anymore. He was trying to understand a language he had created but never learned to read. The music pressed against my skin. But it didn't control me. It followed me now. Like it was reacting to something I finally owned. I caught his eyes again. He didn't smile this time. Didn't lean back. Didn't look away. Just watched. Like if he blinked, he would miss the truth forming in front of him. My breath stayed steady. That surprised me more than anything. Because I remembered the girl who used to shake just walking into rooms like this. She wasn't here anymore. Not fully. Step. A turn. Pause. Each movement wasn't choreography now. It was memory. Every moment he laughed at me was inside it. Every silence I swallowed. Every time I told myself I didn't matter. And now it was all moving. Not breaking me. Fueling me. I saw him shift slightly. Like something in him tried to interrupt this. But nothing came out. No comment. No smirk. No control. Just silence. For the first time. He looked like he didn't know what to do with me. That realization didn't feel powerful. It felt final. The music softened. I didn't rush. I didn't hold on. I just finished it the way I trained myself to finish everything now. Clean. Controlled. Unshakable. When I stopped, there was nothing. No applause. Not immediately. Just a strange, heavy silence spreading through the room like it didn't know what it was supposed to become next. That silence said everything. Not rejection. Not acceptance. Disruption. I turned slowly, and I found him. Still standing. Closer now. But not closer enough to fix anything. His jaw moved slightly. Like he was about to speak. But nothing came. Not one word. That moment hit harder than anything he ever said before. Because I realized, he wasn't choosing silence. He was losing control of speech itself. Like everything he built his confidence on had stopped working. He started. Then stopped. His eyes flickered slightly. Searching for the version of me he understood. He couldn't find it. I tilted my head slightly. Waiting. Not helping him. Not saving him from it. Because I wasn't that girl anymore. He tried again. I didn't think. He stopped again. And laughed once under his breath. But it wasn't his usual laugh. It sounded unsure. Almost broken. I didn't think you'd. He tried again. Then stopped completely. His hand tightened briefly at his side. Like he was physically holding himself together. That was when I understood it. Not his words. His failure to form them. He wasn't losing an argument. He was losing his certainty. I stepped forward just slightly. Not toward him. Just enough to make him see I wasn't shrinking anymore. I was supposed to stay the same, I said quietly. Not a question. A fact. He didn't answer immediately. And in that pause I saw something shift in him. Not regret yet. Something earlier. Recognition. You changed everything, he said finally. His voice was lower now. Less controlled. Less sharp. I blinked once. Slow. That's not true, I said. Pause. Then. You did. That hit him differently. I saw it. The way his expression tightened slightly. Like he wanted to deny it. But couldn't find the angle anymore. The room behind him was still full of people. But none of them mattered in that moment. Because something had already moved past them. Between us. Irreversible. You were supposed to, he started again, then stopped. This time not because he chose to, but because there was nothing left that made sense to complete that sentence. I looked at him properly now. No anger. No hope. Just clarity. And that clarity felt heavier than everything before it. I'm not who you thought I was, I said softly. He didn't respond, because for the first time, he agreed without saying it. A long silence stretched between us. Not empty, full of everything we didn't fix. And then it hit me. I wasn't standing in front of the man who mocked me anymore. I was standing in front of the moment he finally understood what it cost him. But there was no satisfaction in it. No victory. Just release. Quiet. Final. I turned slightly away. Not because I was running. Because I was done waiting to be seen correctly. Behind me his voice finally broke through. Oh. Unstable. I didn't mean for it to become this. I stopped. But I didn't turn back. Because if I did, I might have seen the version of him I almost believed in. And I couldn't afford that anymore. Instead I said one thing. Come. Even. No one ever does. And I walked away. Not from him. From the version of this story where I was still someone he could define. I didn't expect silence to spread faster than gossip. But it did. Like fire moving through a room that suddenly forgot how to breathe. After I left the floor, people didn't look at me the same way anymore. Not fully. Not like before. Their eyes followed me differently now, like they were trying to decide what I had become. Not a joke. Not invisible. Something uncertain. I felt it most when I passed the same groups who once laughed without thinking. Now they paused mid-sentence. Like my presence interrupted something they couldn't continue. My phone stayed quiet. No unknown messages. No strange warnings. Just silence. And for the first time it didn't feel like emptiness. It felt like space. Then I saw him. Not on the dance floor. Not in control of anything. Standing slightly apart from everyone else. Like the room had stopped holding him the same way it used to. That was new. He noticed me immediately. Of course he did. But this time, he didn't smile. Not even a fake one. I walked toward the side corridor without rushing. I didn't need to chase anything anymore. If he wanted to speak, he would come. And he did. You left like that on purpose, he said once we were alone. His voice was steady. But not strong. Just careful. Like he was trying to rebuild something using words that no longer fit. I looked at him properly. Not up. Not down. Just level. I left when it ended, I said. Simple. Clean. No emotion added. His jaw tightened slightly. That small reaction told me more than his words ever could. Because he wasn't used to not being in control of how conversations ended. You changed the entire room, he said. Pause. Then softer. And you know it. I didn't respond immediately. Because for the first time I realized something strange. He wasn't mocking me. He wasn't testing me. He was trying to understand me. Too late. But trying. I didn't change anything, I said finally. A beat. I just stopped disappearing. That landed differently on him. I saw it. A flicker in his expression. Not anger. Not pride. Something closer to discomfort. Like a truth he couldn't argue against without exposing himself. He stepped slightly closer. Then stopped himself halfway. That hesitation mattered more than movement. Because he used to never hesitate. I didn't mean it the way it sounded that night, he said. I exhaled once. Slow. Not impressed. Not hurt. Just aware. You did mean it, I replied. No, he started quickly. But I cut in. Not loudly. Just clearly. You just didn't expect it to matter. Silence. That one hit him harder than anything I'd said before. Because there was no space left for excuse. Only recognition. His hands moved slightly. Then stopped. Like even his body didn't know what role to play anymore. I was joking, he said finally. But it sounded weaker now. Less like defense. More like habit. I tilted my head slightly. Not angry. Not emotional. Just observing him like I used to observe myself before I learned better. Do you usually joke about things you think are beneath you? I asked quietly. That question didn't land like an attack. It landed like a mirror. He didn't answer immediately. And in that pause I saw something shift again. Not pride breaking. Something underneath pride. Unstable. Human. I didn't think you'd take it seriously, he said. Honest this time. And that honesty made the room feel smaller. I nodded once. Not agreement. Acknowledgement. Because now I understood the pattern. It was never just one night. It was how he saw people like me. until I stopped fitting into that view. I didn't take it seriously, I said softly, then paused. I survived it. His expression changed again. This time no recovery. No mask. Just stillness. For the first time he didn't interrupt me. Didn't redirect. Didn't try to win the conversation. He just listened. Like he was realizing listening was something he should have done earlier. I don't need you to explain it anymore, I added. Come. Not cold. Just final in a quiet way. That made him look up fully. Like he finally understood this wasn't a moment he could fix with words. I didn't come here to fix anything, he said quickly. But even he didn't sound convinced by his own sentence. I smiled slightly. Not warmth. Not cruelty. Just recognition. That's the problem, I said. You think things wait for you to decide they matter. Pause. Longer this time. He didn't respond. Not because he didn't have words. Because none of them worked anymore. For the first time I saw it clearly. Not the man who mocked me. Not the man who controlled rooms. But the version of him standing in a situation he couldn't adjust anymore. And strangely, I didn't feel anger. Not even satisfaction. Just distance. Clean. Final. You're not reacting the way I expected, he said quietly. That sounded almost lost. I looked at him directly. No, I said. I'm just not the version you built in your head anymore. That landed harder than anything else. Because I saw it in his face. The realization that he never actually knew me. Only the version of me that made him comfortable. For a second he looked like he wanted to say something real. Something unplanned. Something without control. But he didn't. Instead he just exhaled slowly. Like something inside him cracked without permission. Not dramatically. Quietly. The first crack in pride doesn't make noise. Just removes certainty. I didn't realize, he started. Then stopped. And didn't continue. Because now he realized realizing was not enough anymore. I stepped back slightly. Not leaving. Just ending proximity. Because nothing else needed to be said. You don't get to understand it after it's already changed me, I said softly. And for the first time. He didn't try to respond. I turned away. And behind me I felt it. Not his voice. Not his control. Just silence. A man realizing he was no longer the center of the story. And I finally understood something too. His pride wasn't breaking because I was stronger. It was breaking because I stopped needing him to be anything at all. He didn't raise his voice. That's how I knew this moment was different. What do you want from me? He asked quietly. No confidence. No control. Just a question hanging in air that used to belong to him. I didn't answer immediately. Because for the first time, I wasn't searching inside myself for pain. I was searching for silence. Apology. Revenge. Closure. He listed them slowly like options on a table he still believed he could control. I looked at him. And none of them fit anymore. I can give you anything, he added. Then paused. Just tell me. That hesitation told me everything. He wasn't offering power. He was offering guilt dressed as choice. My phone vibrated once. I didn't check it. I already knew who wouldn't interrupt this moment anymore. Even distance felt like respect now. I don't want anything from you, I said finally. My voice surprised even me. Not sharp. Not emotional. Just clear. His brow tightened slightly. That's not true, he said. But it sounded unsure. Like he was trying to convince himself more than me. I shook my head once. Slow. I used to think I needed answers from you, I said. Pause. But I don't anymore. Silence stretched. Not awkward. Not tense. Just empty of power. And that emptiness hit him harder than anything I had said before. You're doing this on purpose, he said quietly. I blinked once. No, I replied. I'm just done needing you to understand me. That line landed differently. I saw it in his face. Not anger. Not defense. Something more fragile. Confusion losing its structure. He took a small step forward. Then stopped himself. Like even his instincts didn't trust him anymore. You don't want revenge? He asked again. This time slower. Almost careful. I looked at him for a long moment. And realized something simple. Revenge still connects you to the person who hurt you. I didn't want that connection anymore. No, I said. I don't. Pause. Then. I don't want your world either. That made him go still. Because that world was the only language he understood. And I was rejecting it completely. For the first time I saw him without filters. Not powerful. Not untouchable. Just a man realizing he couldn't assign meaning to me anymore. I don't know what you are now, he admitted softly. Honest. Unprepared. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny. Because it was finally true. You don't have to know, I said. And I don't have to explain it. That silence between us wasn't anger anymore. It was distance forming properly. Final shape. My eyes drifted slightly past him, and I saw the stranger, standing back, watching, not interfering, not claiming anything, just present. I didn't look at him long, because this moment didn't belong to anyone else either, not even him. I turned back to the man in front of me, and saw something I didn't expect. Not arrogance breaking, not regret performing, just emptiness where control used to be. You're not even angry, he said quietly. Like that unsettled him more than hatred would have. I nodded once. That's because you don't exist in the place I'm going anymore. His breath stopped slightly. That line hit deeper than anything else I had said. Because it wasn't rejection. It was removal. For a second he looked like he wanted to stop me. Not physically. Emotionally. But he couldn't find the version of himself that could do it anymore. I didn't think it would end like this, he said. His voice lower now. Less controlled. More real. I tilted my head slightly. It didn't end, I said. It just stopped including you. That was the crack. Not loud. Not dramatic. But final. Something inside him broke quietly. Not pride this time. Expectation. The belief that he would always remain part of the story. My phone vibrated again. I finally looked. One message. Unknown number. Don't turn around. I stared at it. Then slowly lowered my phone. Because I realized something simple in that moment. I didn't need to look back anymore. Not at him. Not at the stranger. Not at who I used to be. I stepped back once. Then turned. Not running. Not rushing. Just choosing direction. Behind me I heard nothing. No words. No stopping. Just silence accepting what it couldn't reverse. And as I walked away I finally understood. The hardest choice was never forgiving him. It was no longer needing him to matter at all. Book. I saw his name again after 2 years of silence. And my hands didn't shake this time. There was a message request on my old phone, one I never bothered to delete. A name I thought I had erased from my body still existed in pixels. I didn't open it right away. I just stared at it like it belonged to someone I used to be. Back then, one laugh from him used to feel like a verdict. Now it felt like noise I could turn off. I closed the screen and kept teaching my class. After that night, my life didn't return to what it was. It became something new. I left the restaurant job without a speech, without drama. I just stopped going. No one stopped me. That was the strange part. The world doesn't hold you back when you finally decide to move. I started teaching dance to girls like me. Girls who were told to stand at the back. Girls who were told to lower their voice, lower their dreams, lower themselves. The first day, none of them believed they could move properly. Neither did I, once. A girl in the front row asked me one day, "Miss, what if I'm not good enough?" I stopped the music. For a second, I saw myself in that question. Not the version I am now, the old one. The one that used to freeze when someone laughed too loudly. I walked closer to her. "No one starts as enough," I said. "Not even me." She didn't reply. But she tried again. That was enough. The Millionaire's world faded behind me slowly, like a city disappearing in fog. I didn't burn it down. I didn't need to. Because real freedom doesn't make noise. But I never forgot him either. Not the man. The lesson. There were nights I still remembered that ballroom. Not with pain anymore, just clarity. His laugh. The silence after. The moment I stopped being afraid of being seen. It didn't hurt now. It just felt far away. Like something that happened to someone I used to know. One evening after class, I stayed back alone in the studio. The mirror reflected a version of me I wouldn't have recognized years ago. Not perfect. Not polished. But steady. My phone buzzed again. Same name. This time I opened it. No apology. No arrogance. Just one line. "You were never a joke." I stared at it for a long time. Funny. It took him losing everything I used to fear to say that. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry. Because I didn't need anything from that world anymore. I turned off the phone and looked at the empty studio. The silence didn't feel heavy now. It felt like mine. For the first time, I understood something clearly. I wasn't his joke. I wasn't his lesson. I wasn't even his memory anymore. I was the moment he realized too late that he had misjudged something he could never take back. And I didn't become stronger because of him. I became stronger because I stopped measuring myself through him. I locked the studio door that night and walked out into the street alone. The air felt different when you don't need approval to breathe it. Somewhere behind me the past still existed. But it no longer followed me. Only my steps did. And just